Welcome to the Creative Push. I'm Sherry O'Neill, a visual storyteller, writer, artist, educator, and your host. I started this podcast to inspire other creatives, offering artist interviews, business tips, and to share my own struggles and adventures as an artist. This episode is about my recent travel exploration of Route 66 from Arizona to Texas on a tour bus trip back home to Nashville. I will cover some of the rich history behind Route 66 while sharing the historical landmarks and interesting roadside attractions that I experienced along the way. This is part one, from Arizona to New Mexico. In December, I flew out to Phoenix for a work-related meeting, joining my friend Donnie Michael, CEO of Gig Tours. My friend and videographer Chuck Shanlever came along to help me shoot some videos and stills for Donnie's tour bus company. Donnie's longtime friend, Dwayne Goodwin, also flew out. Donnie was headed back from a tour that ended in LA, so it was a perfect opportunity for us all to explore. Route 66 is a ribbon of asphalt stretching 2,500 miles across 8 states. Also known as the Main Street of America, today this stretch of highway from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California, weaves through the heart of the United States, offering a nostalgic journey through time. In 1926, Route 66 came to fruition, but it took 12 years to build. In 1938, it became the first completely paved national highway linking Chicago to Los Angeles. It enabled families to stop at roadside diners and quaint motor lodges while embarking on a great American road trip. The highway helped the economic growth of the country during the Great Depression Dust Bowl era. It played a significant role in providing a passage for families seeking refuge out west and enabled more than 200,000 people to migrate to California. John Steinbeck gave it one of its most popular nicknames, the Mother Road, in his Pulitzer Prize-winning 1939 novel, The Grapes of Wrath. In 1946, the song written by Bobby Troup, Get Your Kicks on Route 66, was released by Nat King Cole. Despite the popularity of Cole's song, he was not welcome in most of the restaurants and motels at that time because of his skin color. Although the stretch of highway represents freedom and adventure, for decades, black travelers used a guide known as the Green Book to know which motels, restaurants, and businesses would serve them. Postal worker Victor H. Green published the Essential Road Trip Guide from 1936 to 1964. It earned its nickname, the Bible of Travel, and helped black people avoid travel difficulties and embarrassment along this famous stretch of highway. The Green Book is a historical reminder of the segregation we often forget from our nation's past. In 1985, the poorly maintained Route 66 highway was decommissioned and replaced with Interstate 40, which runs alongside the earlier 2-lane original highway. Today, it is no longer possible to drive the entirety of the legendary Route 66. As time passes, the abandonment of businesses, the deterioration of buildings, and human vandalism is slowly causing what is left of its history to disappear. The historic route provides a window into the past and easily connects you with the stories of those who traveled along this iconic highway. On my adventure, we used Interstate 40 because the dilapidated 2-lane highway was not efficient for our tour bus. We carefully chose our exits to see preferred quirky roadside attractions and historical landmarks. Our road trip was an opportunity to disconnect from the modern world and discover a simpler time. The true magic of Route 66 lies not only in the major attractions, but also in the countless hidden gems along the way. We traveled north from Phoenix up towards Flagstaff, stopping 25 miles south of the Grand Canyon to see the Western metal artwork outside of Rocks and More. Unfortunately, the rock shop itself was closed, so we didn't stay long. Across the street stood a tall Yabba Dabba Doo sign of Fred Flintstone, which marks the entrance of the Flintstones' Bedrock City, a quirky vintage pop culture roadside attraction. This historical cartoon landmark from the 70s hosts Flintstone-themed houses, dinosaurs, and vehicles spread across the 3 acres of desert landscape. On the property, there is also a campground and a wild bird refuge. It was also closed, so we pressed on. By sunset, we had made our way to the Grand Canyon Plaza Hotel, just a mile from the south entrance of the Grand Canyon National Park. Our trip was during the off-season, and the little town of Tusayan felt like a ghost town. We had a late dinner in the hotel lounge and headed to our rooms for the night. As I fell asleep, I was excited about starting our Route 66 adventure the next day. In the morning, we headed to the Grand Canyon South Rim, entering the park and doing some sightseeing. We stopped along the road, taking in the beautiful and majestic canyon and the rock formations at various lookout points as we headed back down towards Flagstaff. From there, we would continue on Interstate 40 alongside the original Route 66. In Flagstaff, we got off at exit 219 to check out the infamous Twin Arrows trading post, which closed in 1998. Originally named the Canyon Padre Trading Post around 1946 after the nearby gorge, it offered a diner and a store for travelers. In 1955, when the Troxel family took it over, they renamed the complex Twin Arrows Trading Post after erecting two 20-foot-high wooden arrows, complete with tips and feathers, in the parking lot. The giant arrows near the main building attracted traveling motorists with curiosity, and business flourished. After the interstate replaced the two-lane highway, business slowed down, and the trading post was closed. What was once a gas station is now a graffiti-filled, dilapidated building. Sometime in February of 2022, one of the arrows fell due to high winds and was removed. The footplate and the wooden footing still stand, but the second arrow is no longer there. After exploring Twin Arrows, we drove about 12 miles to visit a ghost town in Canyon Diablo. Named Two Guns, this area is a fascinating and tragic roadside attraction that was once a bustling tourist pit stop from the 1940s through the 1960s. Native Americans inhabited the land between 1050 and 1600 AD. In 1878, the Navajo Indians killed the rival Apaches living there in retaliation for an earlier battle by starting a fire at the cave entrance. 42 Apaches died in that fire. The murder site today is referred to as the Apache Death Cave. In the winter of 1879, Billy the Kid supposedly hid out with his gangs and buried money that he stole in a train robbery somewhere in the canyon. In 1914, the Oldfields settled there and operated a trading post for travelers, prospectors, cowboys, and Indians, known as the Canyon Lodge. In the 1920s, Earl and Louise Cundiff purchased 320 acres of land in the area and built a trading post, restaurant, gas station, and post office. Harry E. Miller leased some of the land and renamed the area Two Guns in honor of Western silent film actor William Surrey Hart, also known as Two Gun Bill. Miller opened a trading post and zoo complete with mountain lions, cougars, snakes, and Gila monsters. He decorated the Apache Death Cave with lights, offering tours and selling Apache skeletal remains to traveling tourists. A year later, Miller got into a fight with Earl over the terms of the lease, shot him in cold blood, but was acquitted. After being mauled by two of his mountain lions and bitten by one of his venomous Gila monsters, Miller left the state, taking turquoise jewelry, silver, and other expensive merchandise with him. In 1971, the gas station burned down, and when tourists stopped coming, the business shut down. Today, the remains of the gas station, trading post, and a few other dilapidated buildings covered in graffiti still remain on the popular roadside stop. It is said that the area is haunted by ghosts. The old abandoned zoo entrance still reads Mountain Lions, and many of the cages out back are still intact. Our next stop, about 30 miles east, was the charming town of Winslow, Arizona. Popularized by the Eagles song Take It Easy, we visited the Standing on the Corner Park. As you arrive, you feel as if you've been transported back in time. The Eagles' greatest hits play through speakers on the streets near the park. It's estimated that nearly 100,000 people visit each year. This quirky little part of town, made famous by the Eagles, sits on the corner of 2nd Street and North Kinsley Avenue. In between the old buildings, there's a statue of Glenn Fry, a painting on the road of a Route 66 sign, a statue named Easy, which is a man holding an acoustic guitar, and a 1960s red flatbed Ford parked on the nearby street. Up the road another 16 miles, we stopped at the iconic yellow sign with a big rabbit that says, "Here it is," just past Joseph City. The Jackrabbit Trading Post is a longtime landmark where you can get all kinds of Route 66 and Native American souvenirs. From there, we stopped in Holbrook, Arizona, 15 minutes up the interstate to visit the Keechee Cool Wigwam Motel. Its interest has grown over the years with its appearance in the Pixar movie Cars. The hotel showcases vintage cars parked on the property and charming, well-preserved concrete teepees that you can stay in overnight. These Wigwam motels, built in the 1930s and 1940s, were the brainchild of Frank A. Redford and have become one of the most memorable and iconic motel chains in the U.S. We left Arizona and crossed into New Mexico, the landscape transformed into mesas and canyons with beautiful vistas. It was my first time visiting New Mexico, and I was captivated from the window of the bus. We made our way about 100 miles east, stopping in the town of Gallup right before sunset. The city is known as the Indian capital of the world because of its location in the heart of Native American lands. There were endless art shops, jewelry shops, galleries, and trading posts as we drove through the city. Founded in 1881, Rand McAnally labeled Gallup as America's most patriotic small town. It's responsible for manufacturing more than 70% of the nation's Native American jewelry. Because we arrived at sunset, we were only able to make one stop, so we decided it would be Hotel El Rancho. It is known for its red carpet reputation, where Hollywood stars of yesteryear came to film westerns. Ronald Reagan, John Wayne, Katharine Hepburn, Kirk Douglas, Gregory Peck, and Humphrey Bogart are just a few of the stars that have graced the rooms of this unique hotel. In 1936, visionary and movie theater tycoon R.E. Griffith wanted to create a place that would immerse people into the Old West. The Depression enabled success for movie makers at the time, and he wanted to give people a true Western experience. New Mexico offered a beautiful Western landscape for the imagination of filmmakers, so Hotel El Rancho was a perfect fit for hosting directors, actors, and film crews. The hotel offered Hollywood movie makers a comfortable, fun, and lively place to stay, and launched the hotel into the Hollywood spotlight. Its ranch architectural style includes a grand lobby with exposed wooden beams, a large stone fireplace, and a curved red carpet staircase. The decor is made up of rich colors, rugged Western surroundings, and memorabilia from movie stars throughout time. The hotel remains an icon within New Mexico and along Route 66. We originally had planned to stay the night in Albuquerque, but found out that there were highway delays due to snow, so we ended up staying in Gallup for the night. I was bummed, but with all adventures, sometimes plans have to change. I hope you all will come back to part 2 of this trip from New Mexico to Texas. It's on the way.